Have any of you been productive in lockdown? How have you found it? Have you managed to actually do any work? Anybody?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I have to keep freelancing, otherwise I won't be able to pay my rent. So, yeah. But I've basically written half a novel and then scrapped it and started again. So,
Gosh,
but
that's
I'm
great.
yeah, I'm writing every day at the moment and really enjoying it. I think it did take about 6 weeks to just not just be in constant fear and anxiety panic attack mode, in which there was no creativity happening in that window for me at all. But I didn't even try because I was like, there's no point. I'm just going to walk the dogs once a day and then cry in front of the telly. So that's all I did really. But no, I think eventually it's escapism, isn't it? Really, when you're really in the zone, you don't think about anything but your characters and your setting and what you're doing, and it's a great place to escape to.
I agree. I agree. Helly, how about you? You've had the everyone else has been published before. It must be quite difficult for you. Yes, it's your first publishing experience, and it's been done in lockdown. It must have been sort of
Yeah,
a
I mean,
ride.
I suppose I didn't have anything to compare it to, so that was kind of good. But it was a strange time. Luckily, proper lockdown actually ended before it came out, so I was able to go to Waterstones and point at my book on a shelf and stuff. So that was good. But during lockdown, I had to finish book 2, and it had taken me quite a long time to get through. And like those first few months of lockdown, it was like wading through mud. But I did manage to get it done by the deadline. But I just felt no motivation to do anything apart from watch really bad Netflix marathons. I even struggled to read. I'm still in my day job as well. I'm an advertising copywriter, so I had that. It was really hard to find the energy to because I usually get up sort of at 5 in the morning to do writing then before work starts. I found that a real struggle in lockdown just because I felt so trapped. It was a real bore.
You had no routine, so you couldn't. There wasn't the idea of going on the tube or whatever to work or anything like that. It must have been very difficult.
Yeah, it was. It was also just where I was living at the time. It was not conducive to. It was not a good writing environment. So yeah, I just felt really trapped. And yeah, 5 in the morning.
Yeah, I'm just really I'm like, oh, can we just circle back to this? You just throw that in. So I used to get up at 5 and do it before work. Like, I can't start until 6 p.m.
Wow, I'm a 5 a.m.
Yeah, I can't write at night. I'm so sleepy and full of food. I'm just like,
sure.
Just immediately, like after I get home from work. So me, 5 a.m. My brain is weirdly sharp then. I don't know why. It's a curse. My husband loves it.
Good for you. Wow.
Are you also a 5 a.m. Isabelle?
I used to be, yeah. When I was working full time at Heat, I would write from 5 till 7 every day, and then edit from 7:30 till 8:39 every evening to get I started doing 2 books a year. First 4 I did in 2 years, so that was pretty intense with working full time.
I don't know about you guys. I've got some strange places I like to write. Like for some reason, I'm really productive on a train or a bus, and so when that was taken away from me, I was just like, oh, I can't just sit at my desk for days and days at a time. And I found that's what I had to do. Like, I'll go to a cafe, I'll go to a library, I'll go on a bus ride, and that was taken away. So I felt really like blinkered. Yeah. But it's all good now. The fog has kind of lifted and things are better, and I feel like I'm out of that funk.
Yeah, there's I think the world divides into people who write at home, or the social writers, the ones who like to sit in a cafe. There's the exhibitionist writers, is what I call them. The people who are writing. I couldn't possibly do that. How about you, Laura? Where do you write?
It's funny calling them excavation writers. Thomas, that's Thomas. He walked in and sat next to me in the cafe I was having breakfast in whilst I was writing, and I knew all the love interests are supposed to be different in the Love Square, and I knew I was looking for an angle on this Thomas guy, and I was sat, and there's quite a lot of new money where I am, so there's lots of sort of flashy cards and logos compared to, I think there's a distinction with old money, which is all moth-eaten jumpers and like cold castles, but there's lots of new money here. So I watched this fancy car pull up and this guy get out twirling his keys, and I'm looking at it and I'm thinking, I know who you are, you know, like I know your type, Mr. Casanova. And he's twirling his, and he's got silk Gucci joggers on with the big G's all around, and this designer top, and this massive watch that, like, if you threw him in a puddle he'd sink, you know, it was huge. And he sat right next to me, and I'm sat, you know, working on, literally thinking I need to develop this character, and he walks in and I'm like, know who I'm, right? And the blonde hair, everything was this guy that came and sat beside me. So it's been very different. I actually did have a productive lockdown because I had no choice, because I had a deadline. I had a very like everybody else, had a very terrible first few weeks, and then was like, you know what, I've got a real opportunity to escape into total joy, so I'm going to do that. And the book that comes out next summer, I've been told by my PR I'm not allowed to say too much, but part of it is not in England. So I've been on I've been away for the whole of lockdown as far as I'm concerned. I've been on Google Maps, I've been smelling the smells and tasting the tastes and just having this whale of a time. So it's been really interesting to think, oh, I love to be in a cafe, and then not being able to do that. And I wrote for the first time in a cafe, well, I'm editing next year's novel now, and sitting in a cafe on Tuesday, and it was just the most productive 2 hours of my life. It really was. Just for that change of scenery, for that. I did get a massage recently, and the woman was like, you're going to have to come back again because I cannot get under your scapula. What have you been doing? And I said, I've been on my sofa like that. She said, I can tell. And she's given me exercises to do to loosen up my back from just being naughty and sitting on my sofa for 9 hours a day, hunched over, writing a book.